Hi guys, Rob Ryan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a bit of an experiment here. We got a new setup, we got a new studio situation going on here. And basically, I wanted to come on here real quick and do a little bit of a breakdown of what I've been up to over the past summer. As some of you may know, I have taken this little girl's 2012 summer bucket list and I have decided to accomplish as many of the summer bucket list items that she had as possible. And there's 50 items on the list. I wanted to do a quick retrospective. My thought was that I was going to do it about halfway through, but in reality, I only got to about 15 so far, so not quite there. I'm going to go back through the Instagram page that I have and just kind of talk you through a little bit of what I was thinking about the whole thing. Okay, this is a cool one. So this is the first one that I did. It was early on in the summer. My friend Brian was performing a show out in New Jersey, and I had not gotten to see him perform live in a very long time, and he's been super supportive of me. He came out to the mascot show that I did and helped me produce one of the songs on the show. I mean, he's just been just an invaluable resource over the years, so really been very cool. And I was glad that I was able to support him and his band. It was at this place. The show was called Goatchella. Goatchella. What was cool about that was that they actually had goats. It was in a cemetery, and I guess they just had access to the cemetery. The cemetery has been putting on some kind of shows for a long time, and they have the goats there so that the goats can actually eat the grass instead of having like groundskeepers come in and do that. So I drove out and met him there. It was cool. It's like part of a whole festival. So I got to see a bunch of bands, and then we fed the goats, which you were allowed to do, but they were so full that they didn't even care. And I was a little bit scared. It was very daunting for me to think that I was actually going to start doing this entire list. Sometimes when I get an idea to do something, it's not abundantly clear from the get-go, from the jump, that I know I'm going to be able to pull it off. So I'm always a little bit like, and this was a big thing to sign up for too. So I was a little concerned that to do 50 items, even though some of them seemed kind of easy, some of them seemed a little bit expensive, some seemed pretty time consuming, I wanted to jump in anyway and try it off. And if it didn't pan out, it didn't pan out. But the first one I put a lot of time and effort into, especially with the editing. And by time I finished getting all the snippets, recording it, editing it, posting it, I was like, I'm in for a lot. And that was a little bit nerve-wracking to me. So I knew I kind of fucked myself in the sense that if I did it, it was going to take a ton of effort. And if I didn't do it, nobody's going to care, but I would care. It would just hang over my head for a long time. So that was my biggest concern there. What was cool about the first one was that I was enjoying it myself. I was actually just enjoying the experience of the actual concert. So that was actually kind of cool that I got to do something that because I'm going to say that not every single one was super fun. So let's go on to whatever the next one was, which was, get a job, find a job. Obviously this girl was like a teenager, so she just wanted to find some kind of summer job, and that was all. I want to give a little backstory to this whole thing. I saw a TikTok by this guy, Patty Deluxe, and he had this TikTok, do really well, go viral, we'll call it. And all he did was he just said that the reason that summer doesn't hit as an adult the way it does as kids is because we stopped making these lists of like a summer bucket list. And his green screen background was the entire summer bucket list that this girl had written back in 2012, and I think she put it on Pinterest. And so I just thought, hey, that might be a fun way to spend my summer. I looked at the list. I thought all of these things actually seem pretty cool and pretty doable. Why don't I just like go out of my way to try to make sure I hit all these things? And I like making videos. I love editing stuff. So maybe I can go ahead and make a little something out of it. And so that's what I wound up going for and doing. The second one was find a job. My friends own a bulk food store out in Queens, and they needed someone to just kind of like, man the shop there. And so I just said I would do it. And I needed the work. I'm a tutor. I tutor like, subject stuff, SAT, ACT stuff. And so when the summer hit, I was running low on hours and I thought, this is fun. I'll get to just work a little job in Queens. So I wound up doing that. I made a little video. There's not really much to say about that one. That one's, I wouldn't say boring, but it just is what it was. It was just the job that I found. The next one is, this one's really fun. I like this. It said to uh, grow a garden. Now, I don't have a full-on garden. I never got to the point of making a full-on garden, but I did go to Home Depot and I got these morning glory seeds. I was looking for something that was a little bit low maintenance because I live in New York City and I just didn't have the ability to be watching over these things 1,000%. So I went to Home Depot. I actually walked from my job in Queens, and it was a brutal walk. It was very hot that day. I knew I had to make video as well and look halfway decent on camera. So I went to the Home Depot and I found these seeds. I was cat sitting for a friend at the time, and so I got my pot, and truly I've never grown anything in my life. So I really didn't know what to do. I'm really reading the instructions and I'm getting some advice from people, from my friends online. And I soaked 3 seeds, that's it, just 3 seeds overnight. Sure enough, they did start to like germinate a little bit. Put them in the soil 6 inches down, blah, blah, blah. And I was so stoked every single time a little tiny thing happened. When I first saw them poke out, when I first saw the first leaf, when those 2 leaves turned into 4 leaves, like everything was so cool. The best part about that was I had to go visit my dad for like a while. My brother was coming to town. And so I sat there with him for about a week, about 10 days I stayed away from my apartment. And when I came back, the thing was wrapped all the way around the fire escape. That was pretty wild. And because this plant, the morning glories apparently are like vine-like, so they need something to grow up to. And when I came back, it was just crazy vines. And I was like, I wasn't even living there. I mean, not permanently. I had to move my stuff. And so I was like, no, I had to wind the plant so I could move it. It was a lot of nonsense, but that was one of the more, I've got it planted now outside at my dad's house. And it looks just fantastic. So like, I'm really excited that the actual thing grew, like something positive that will last longer than just the memory of me doing the thing exists. I think that's really cool. Next one is learn to do a backflip. So I started this back in January of this year. I started this back at the beginning of this year. I was tired of going to the gym, lifting weights, running around. It's becoming the same old thing. And I wanted to get more in touch with my body. So I started taking classes. I started taking martial arts classes. I did a kickboxing thing a couple of times, yoga classes, and I started learning some gymnastic stuff and some parkour stuff. And that was just really fun for me to take whatever strength, agility, athleticism I had and actually put it towards something that felt cool and felt like, hey, I can do something, as opposed to I can lift something a little bit bigger than I lifted the last time. So I got help from everywhere. Good friends of mine were helping me like with little things. This comedian, Christine Meehan-Berg, she is a gymnast and she teaches gymnastics out in New Jersey. She helped me. I went to a class in Greenpoint. This is where it was just me. I signed up and it was supposed to be a class with multiple people, but only I showed up. So it wound up being really funny because then it was just me and the dude, and I got a full hour with him. So I learned a lot from him and certain exercises to get my vertical jump up. Then I started going to a gymnastics gym in a different part of Brooklyn near the Barclays Center. And that was like the best because then you get like an hour and a half. They do a little warm up and then you just have access to the entire gym. You can do whatever you want. You could do uneven bars, rings, floor, whatever. And I was able to, and everybody there is like part of like a community. And so they're all kind of helping you out and showing you different things. When I landed that first backflip, That was the absolute just highlight of my year. It was so cool to have this vision in my mind that I want to do something. I want to accomplish this thing I've never done outside of like a trampoline. And I want to do it. And I think it would be a cool thing to do. And I've never done it. I've never really tried to do it. I know it's going to be difficult, but it's not impossible. And actually landing it was just like, it took me months. It took me actually literally months to like get to that place of physical preparedness, but then also just mental, like, I'm gonna do this. I'm sure I could have tried and fucked up and hurt myself earlier, but I felt like I did it the right way. um yeah. So not so fun story is I kept on doing it. I was getting better at it. I was trying different things. I did fuck up pretty bad one time. I just landed really, really shitty. And so I've been a little scared off since. So I've not been doing as many backflips lately, but I've been doing other disciplines, more handstands, front flips, and I'm trying some other cool stuff. But I'm taking a little break from the backflips. The next was go to the aquarium. This was interesting. I'll say flat out that I think the video turned out nice. I fucking hated that day. Um, I just wasn't in the mood that day. I had to get up particularly early. The train ride took forever. It stalled a million times. So by the time I got there, I was already pretty exhausted. And I liked everything that I saw. Like, it was genuinely nice, but my head just wasn't in it. There was a sea lion show, and I left. Like, it was one of those standard shows of just like, hey, this is Kiki and Avalon. Say hello, Kiki. Kiki's a bit shy. Oh, here comes her brother, Avalon. Playing just like pop music to like animals just doing things, making animal movements seem like they are like they're anthropomorphizing the animal way too much. Oh, it looks like Avalon's about to open up a crypto account. Whoa, or whatever. It's like silly, just stupid stuff. Um, this is one of these memories where, as more time goes away from it, the more fondly I look back on it, which I actually find to be a really interesting thing. And I highly consider everybody just think about this more often. When you're not feeling something, it's very easy to just not do it and quit and say, this isn't for me today. I'm not feeling it. And it's totally fine. But if the opportunity to do the thing is rare, if you are not likely to get the chance again, or you don't feel like you will be able to plan it easily again, maybe some friends are going, or maybe it's an opportunity where like, oh, well, we got an extra ticket. I've noticed more and more in my life that if I do the thing that I didn't want to do, and even weirdly, if I'm not even enjoying it in the moment, as time goes on, the negative feelings that I had with the experience, they go away. They actually, my brain doesn't remember, oh God, I hated that day. God. Like, I'll remember the actual points of it. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that dolphin. Oh, I remember seeing that thing. Oh, I remember hanging out with so and so. But my brain doesn't get back into that ugly, sad or mad or whatever place that I was. It just remembers the things that I did. It's really bizarre. So those negative emotions don't stay with you, but the memories do. And I find that I actually have to actively pin them together. I have to do what I'm doing right now and saying, no, 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 no. I actually was miserable that day. But I'm looking at the highlight reel. Looked kind of fun. And that's how my brain will remember it. And so it's a very, very, very bizarre kind of a life hack where you will look more fondly in time. And so you kind of think, well, I might as well do the thing. Because here's the thing about being miserable that day too. If you are suffering from something, it could be an ailment, maybe you are a little sick, or you have a headache, or you're just mentally just not feeling it. You're not mentally, emotionally there. You won't. You're gonna be that at home, or you're gonna be that there. And so it's kind of like you won't remember being miserable at home, but you will remember the experience that you had. I know that that's not, um, how do I want to put this? If you're going through it, that's not exactly like advice that you go, oh, wow, yeah, you're right. I should do that. It's not very convincing, is what I'm trying to say. But it just happens to be true. All right, what else we got here? All right, talk about not enjoying myself. This was a fascinating day. I did 2 in one day, and the first one was volunteering. Volunteering, in my mind, I thought that this was going to be really cool. I was like, you know what? I'm going to volunteer. This is going to be fun. I'm going to meet some like-minded people who are also there trying to do a good thing or trying to do a nice thing. I purposely wanted to pick like a beautification project because I didn't want, especially since I'm filming stuff, I did not want to be recording other people. I didn't want to be doing something where I'm like, hey, I'm coming to help. I'm coming to read to these kids, or I'm coming to feed, but I'm also videoing it or whatever. That felt weird to me. I wanted to do something that was a little bit more straightforward and just pure beautification. I think that made more sense to me. And we did, and it was cool, but same as before, I did a bunch of things wrong that day, which is going to be a theme. I think you're going to notice a theme of me doing these where I'm forcing myself to do something a little bit against my will, and I didn't plan properly, which made it a miserable experience. So it was super hot that day. Even though it was overcast, it was boiling hot. I was up at 6 a.m. I had to get this train, and I get to the spot. Nobody's nice. Nobody's cool. Everybody was just into their own shit. So I did not make a single friend. We did not interact. The work sucked. And, well, I expected the work to suck, but like the reason that it sucked was because I didn't feel like we were doing something that otherwise, like we didn't how do I put this? We didn't create something new and beautiful. We were just maintaining what the fucking beach should have been to begin with. We went to Orchard Beach in the Bronx, and we were just basically pulling weeds. That's it. Go to the beach, pull some weeds. And when I was looking at the work, I was like, okay, well, the Parks Department should be doing this. That's all I could think of the whole day. I was like, the Parks Department should be doing this. So all that has happened is the government has put its coffers and its money towards the fucking police on horses or whatever, new batons, new grenades and some shit, has not put enough money to beautification of the public beaches, the Parks Department, and is relying on volunteers to do basic maintenance. It was very frustrating. Like, it would have been cool if there was like extra funds from a third party agency and they just wanted to create a little like flower garden for people. And so they raised some money, they have $1,000 and they put it towards this, and that's how we did that. Something like that, where we've added something. But it was pure maintenance. And it was just weird. I just felt like I was working for the city that day, and I didn't appreciate that. Later that day, the next one, is try every ice cream flavor. Now, this was a really interesting day because I thought that I was going to get all the feels from doing the volunteering. That's what I thought. I was like, oh man, volunteering's cool. I'm going to leave there feeling all good about myself. I fucking hated it. I was dehydrated too, by the way. I did not prepare. Dehydrated, fucking hot, miserable. My head's sweating. My head is pounding. I took a cab ride back home because it took me forever to get there. It was like train to a bus or whatever. And I was like, let me just take an Uber back home. And I rested because I was just so zonked. But I still had to get up and I had to go to my friend's. I had to go meet up my friend Dave in Queens because we were going to try every ice cream flavor. Now, for these videos, I wanted to have a little bit of not a twist, but I wanted to kind of do my own version of what each video sort of means to me. And when I saw try every ice cream flavor, obviously that's up for some interpretation because what the hell does every ice cream flavor even mean? And what does try mean too? So I specifically found a place in Queens called Elio's that had 36 flavors. I thought that was a perfect number where it felt kind of doable for two men, but then also a little bit outlandish. And I didn't want to just try like, hey, give me a little scoop, give me a little scoop, give me a little scoop. I thought that may have been obnoxious. So I didn't want to be a bad customer. Um, so I decided that we're just going to buy a scoop. We're going to buy 36 scoops of ice cream. And that was more fun. Here's what was great about this. It's brought to you by Celsius, by the way. Here's what was great about the ice cream thing. Um, the people who worked there, their minds were blown, absolutely blown away. And it delighted me, but it shocked me that people coming into an ice cream shop and ordering ice cream was something that blew the minds of these two people who worked at the ice cream shop. We spent like $100. We tipped them like 20, and they were just like, it was so cute. I loved it. They were taking pictures and they were so excited. The feeling that I wanted from the volunteering, I got from the ice cream thing, because then they gave us all free toppings. Every single topping that they had at the store, they surprised us with and gave to us. Then they surprised us with a free strawberry banana chocolate crepe and a free fudge brownie. And by that point, we were like sick and we were stuffed and we were like, please, we cannot. These kids came in, this family of like 4 or 5 came in, and the kids saw all the toppings. And this one girl kind of looked over there like she just saw toppings at the table. And I love how kids think, because she was just like, is this mine now? Can I just have this? I could see that in her eyes. And I just looked at her and I was like, yeah, go ahead, have as much as you like. And so I was like, as long as your moms or parents are cool with it. And they were. And then when the brownie came out and the crepe came out, Dave and I were like, look, we can have a bite, but we got to go. This is too much. And so we just gave that to the family. And so the family was so happy. The kids were super stoked. The people who worked there were happy. It was just like that philanthropic feeling, that good, warm, gooey feeling that I was like, kind of, to be honest, selfishly hoping to get from the volunteer situation earlier that day. I did not get that day. I did not get from that at all. And the decadent, complete stuff my face, I should feel like shit afterwards ice cream experience wound up being the one that gave me that feeling. And it was just kind of cool. So I don't know. We can certainly say that there's a lesson there. And I think that the lesson for me was that I was just really happy. Like my expectations, screw your expectations. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what things are going to have, bring you this little magical moment, even if you try to construct it. And you don't know which things are going to be little dead end moments, even if you try to avoid it. So you just keep putting yourself out there into the world in unique ways and see what comes back at you. That was a really, really, really cool day because of how much I hated the morning, and then because of how much I loved the night. That was fun. That was a real one to write home about. The next one I got is, this is great too, because talk about putting a spin on the thing. It was make s'mores. I think make s'mores is super basic, very straightforward and simple. And I could have done it over the stovetop. It would have been easy. And that would have been it. But every single one of these, I kept on trying to think of a way that I would enjoy it as well, or something that felt unique to me. My dad had redone his driveway with these stones, and he had someone, put those stones in. The guy who ordered the stones just ordered a lot, and there were some extra ones, maybe, 20 extra stones, 30 extra, something like that. Maybe 20. And as soon as I saw the 20 extra stones, like months ago, I thought to myself, it'd be cool if we could just make a little like fire pit out of those, or just use those for something. And I didn't want to do it without my dad's permission, because it's like a fire pit's that's a big deal. But then I told him, this is when my brother was visiting, I said, hey, I wanna make s'mores as part of my summer bucket list. And my dad was like, yeah, that sounds good. And I said, yeah. I said, well, I actually kind of wanted to make a fire pit out of the stones. My dad kind of thinks for a second, goes, yeah, okay, well, I'll only help you. And I was so happy because usually, well, not usually, but he could have very easily just been like, nah, you don't want to do that. It's going to ruin the grass, and then it's going to be there forever, and then, fire code or whatever. But he just, boop, he just picked it right up, brought out a wheelbarrow. We just started laying them out. And it was so cool because it no longer was, hey, I'm making s'mores. Now it's, we're building a fire pit out of stones. We don't know if this is going to work. And then we wound up like lighting up fireworks and playing wiffle ball. And then we made s'mores. And it was just a perfect thing. And the fact that I got to do a little like, construction / arts and crafts / whatever, and make this video unique for me was like the best. And the fire pit's still there. It still exists. And my dad likes to, build a fire a bunch, since then. So all summer long, he's been making fires. That was a great one. What else we got next? Ooh, we got spray tan. The spray tan. All right. The spray tan. Damn, man. I am a white boy and I do not like getting sunburned, and I'm aware of the fact that the sun can destroy you. So I don't, I don't know. Ever since I was like 15, 16 years old, I stopped like actively trying to tan. I recognized right away in the summertime, I was like, I can get tan, but it's a lot of work. It's got to be very consistent. I have to go out into the sun. I have to at least bear some period of discomfort with me being a little burned, maybe overdoing it, blah, blah, blah. And then it lasts for like a couple weeks tops, as soon as it's the middle of September, this shit's gone. So I was like, I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not like damaging my skin and my body just to, look a little darker. I've never done a spray tan in my life. And this girl said, get really tan. So again, I wanted to put my own spin on it. I had no interest in getting really tan. I had no interest in using a tanning booth. And I had no interest in sitting out in the sun for hours at a time. So I live on Long Island, which is hilarious because that's like spray tan central. And I went to a spray tan place and it was fucking awesome. It looked so good. I really liked it. So if you've never done a spray tan before, and if you have like an event coming up in a few days that you just want to like a little extra glow, and it's the middle of November and you just feel a little pale and pallid and just something, or maybe you're going to some destination wedding. I think this is a perfect example. You're going to like Cabo, you're going to a destination wedding. It's the middle of fucking February. You're pale as a ghost. You look good when you have a little bit of a tan going. You're going down to Mexico, you're going to Puerto Rico, whatever, and you just want to look good day one. Get the spray tan. And then I'm sure you can tan traditionally once you're down there or something. I don't really know how it works, but I don't know. That was great. And there's not really much else to it other than I liked it, and it lasted a couple of weeks, to be honest. I showered a little less. Go to a baseball game. Yeah. This is pretty straightforward. I went to a Mets game, and I've been to baseball games a number of times in my life. I don't go regularly, but so it's still enough of a novelty for me that this was fun. This also just happened to be the best Mets game in a while. They first of all, they've just been great this year, and then on top of that, they just had a spectacular game. The craziest thing was that there was 3 home runs in 1/2 inning, one of them being a grand slam. It was so fun. It was just the best. Me, my brother, my dad got to go, and I'm really glad that I pushed for it as much as I did. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to doing something like this, where you make it a game, where you make it a project. I have to do these 50 things, and I have a deadline. And if I don't do it, I'm going to feel bad that I didn't do the whole thing. So I went really out of my way to effectively force my dad and my brother to go to this. I would not have had enough gumption to set the tone for that day and set the intention and the experience for that day if I didn't go, no, I have to do this. This is my homework. I need to do this. I would have balked at some point, pun intended, or baseball reference intended. So I would have balked at the opportunity, because my brother may have been like, I don't know if I want to do that, and I don't think I would have had the stick-to-itiveness and the tenacity to say, no, we're doing this. I already bought the tickets, blah, blah, blah. But because I knew, I was like, I'm doing this summer bucket list thing. We have to do this. It was like on the agenda. There's something really to that, to keep you accountable. Anyway, I think that was, to me, the most important takeaway from this, because the game was fun. The game was the game. It was fireworks night. That was awesome. It was like cool. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that it was hard to wrangle everybody, and it was expensive, and I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't like my homework. But I'm so glad I did. So take that for what it is worth. What else we got here? Take a yoga class. Okay, this one was pretty straightforward and easy as well. I've taken a lot of yoga classes. My friends own a yoga studio in Queens, actually the same friends that own the Seed and Oil bulk grocery store that I work at. And a friend of mine, Jess, taught the class that I did. We did not record the class itself. She was nice enough to stay after and do a little private session with me so I could get the footage. And so if you've been following along and you saw the footage, that is not the actual class. That is afterwards, little behind the scenes stuff. But it was really nice, and I was glad I got to do it. And I was glad I got to give a little shout out to my friend's studio, because it's a really, really nice studio. And all the people there who work there are great. So that was it. That was straightforward. Take a yoga class. What I will say about this is that even the simple things become complicated because I'm recording and editing everything. I would have been able to do this list a lot more simply if all I had to do was promise myself that I was going to do it and not record it and edit it and do all this stuff. But I like sharing this stuff. And as soon as I posted like the first one, it's not like these things are blowing up on the internet, but a couple of people reached out to me and said, this is so nice. I love that you're doing this. This is really fun. You've inspired me to do it. And that's like gold to me. When I hear like one person say that, I'm just like, well, no, I can't stop. If I'm inspiring you to do something fun and cool for yourself, all right, I'm going to do it forever. I'm getting paid nothing. It's driving me crazy. I'm spending a lot of time doing it. But if you are inspired, warms my heart. What else we got? Watch a sunset. This is a beautiful one. So the actual video itself, if you've seen it, I tell the whole story. So the whole video is a story. By the way, I want to make a little side point. Each video that I make, I have been sort of dabbling in doing a different style each time. Just because I think that each video sort of calls for a different style, right? Some, I think, calls for just, hey, let's just take a bunch of images and clips and then put it over to some fun music. Some is like, hey, I want to get some of the things that I said while I was recording. And then some, I'm like, I just want to do voiceover the whole time. This time, I experimented with doing a picture-in-picture where it's me in the car describing the story of why I want to go to this particular place to watch the sunset on Long Island. And then the main video is just a time lapse of me actually watching that sunset. I just thought that was a cute way to do it. That was a fun way to sort of pack both the visual element of this and the storytelling element of it at the same time. Thought that was kind of cool. And I just keep experimenting with different ways to do it. So the story itself, I'll give you the short version, is my dad, one night while he was driving for his job, this like work van, he got himself turned around on Long Island and he accidentally came to the North Shore, and it was like, he felt like he was almost going to drive right off a cliff. When I was a kid, remembered me and my friends, we drove to the North Shore of Long Island and we found a very similar spot that led to a beach that was like from a cliff. and we just got out of the car. We ran down. We were just fucking around. And I was like, I think it's the same spot. And I know that during the summertime, the sun will set north of east. So it's going to set on the North Shore right over the water. And I had about 30 minutes or so to get there. And it was a beautifully, not a cloud in the sky day. And I said, Dad, give me the keys. I'm going to find this spot that you're talking about. I go, I find the spot. And I was like, this is it, man. This is where I was. This is where you were. Total kismet. I loved it. Really cool. Make a sandcastle. Make a sandcastle. Okay. I love making sandcastles. I put that in quotes because usually when I was a kid, I wouldn't make castles. I would make animals. I just loved making alligators and sea turtles and whatever. I didn't like the boxiness of a sandcastle. It just didn't speak to me as much. I love the sort of more like flowy, elegant nature of an animal. And I always felt that the sand, as a sand sculpture, lent itself a lot more to animals. Because if you think about it, sand, really doesn't want to be 90-degree angled, but sand does like smooth curves. So think of like a dolphin or a shark, or a turtle was always my favorite, doing a nice, cool sea turtle, because everything's so round and smooth and whatever. Anyway, that said, obviously I did an actual castle this time because she said sand castle, so I did a sand castle. And I was pretty proud of it. I knew that I sometimes I overdo my art projects and I bite off more than I can chew. And I knew that I am prone to doing that and I didn't want to. So I was very keen on being like, Rob, make a small sandcastle, a manageable one. I still spent over an hour doing it. Super hot, again, exhausted, dehydrated, all the things. But I got a little kid to help me. That she was great. She came by. This other little kid came by. He said the funniest thing. He was like, do you know who made that? I'm standing right next to it. I've got all my crap. Do you know who made that? And I said, yeah, I know him. I know him well. And it's just, kids are great. It's just so funny that they can't put two and two together sometimes. I was happy with all the detail work and stuff. We found these cool little like pieces of wood that are for the dunes, and I made them into doors. And then my favorite part of this whole video is once I saw it, I love miniatures. I fucking love miniatures. I love miniatures so much. Ever since I was a kid, I used to, the little tables, the little white table they put in the middle of a pizza box so that the box doesn't smush the pizza in delivery. I used to collect those because I wanted to make like a little diorama of a bar that had those tables. The reason I wanted to make a bar specifically is because my dad had a little miniature pool table thing. And I said, oh, if I can make that pool table and then I could put the little tables, I can make a bar. Whatever. I love miniatures. So once I made the castle and it looked decent, like it didn't look so bad, I wanted to make a little like video low angle shot so it looked really big. I think I even like did 0.5x on the camera, so it was more of like a wide angled lens. And then when I looked at the footage, I was like, oh, you know what I could do? I can slow it down. I did. I took it to like half speed. And then I said, you know what I could do? I could, turn the contrast up and make it look like it's this blazing, sunny Sahara. And then I said, you know what I could do? I could pull YouTube helicopter sounds, and I'll play the helicopter sound so it looks like it's slow motion, like we're in a helicopter. And then there was this little like lower third element. I was like, hey, it's like a Channel 7 news. And then I could do a voiceover. And I just kept on adding stupid elements to it because it was just making me smile. And so that's fun. It's fun that like there's two sides to this. There's me doing the thing, and then there's me getting to have fun editing the thing and doing a little movie magic, because I'm also just having fun doing that. And I'm trying to get better at, just doing inventive and fun editing, and it just makes it more fun for people to watch. Okay, go to a museum. This was great. This seems super straightforward as well. Luckily, I was able to go, oh, this is an element that I have not yet discussed. What's so fun about doing this is that you get to pick the people in your life who may enjoy this particular item or event. It's really fun. Like I like sending reels to my friends, And what I'll do is, you don't send every reel to every friend, right? You send the right reel for the right friend. So I'll send like sports related things to my brother, and I'll send comic book related things to my friend Paul, who likes comics, and I'll just like that, right? So when it came to this list, I told my friends, I said, whatever you want to do on the list, you tell me. I'll make sure I do it with you. And it was really cool. So the ice cream thing, Dave fucking loves ice cream. And he actually had a candy blog at one point where he tasted a bunch of candy and then blogged about it. So he was the perfect guy to go do the ice cream thing with. And we did the ice cream thing, and he was the perfect guy to do it with. We were talking, flavor palettes and blah. We were just having a blast the whole day. It was great. And my friend Madeline wanted to go to the museum, so we did. On my birthday, September 16th, get a gift. My friend Sean and I are going to go see a psychic, because he says that he sees a psychic like twice a year at least. So he's like, I'm due. We should go. And so he and I are going to go on my birthday to go see a psychic. But that's what's so fun, because you get to choose who to do these fun things with, and you get to be like, you'd be a great person to do this with. My friend Michelle, this fell through, unfortunately. This is another aspect of this, but my friend Michelle, she spends every Sunday cooking, baking, whatever, and one of the things on the list is to bake. Like, I'm gonna bake something, and so she invited me over to bake. Her husband wound up getting COVID, so it just didn't work out. I want to point this out, another side thing. I'm not going to finish. This is obviously September 1st. I'm not going to finish. The first deadline for this girl was, I think today, was September 2nd. And she then had a contingency for September 22nd. I'm not going to finish by September 22nd either. But that's fine. And part of the reason is, well, I'm an adult, and I have to pay bills, and I can't spend every single day just doing this. The editing is nuts, so it's hours and hours. Each video, at least an hour, and then if I try to do it with other people, there's coordination involved, so it's a lot. But it's really fun when it works out, because then you get to do a fun thing with the right person who wants to do the thing with you. It's really, really nice. Like I said, with my friend Jess, she teaches yoga. I got to do that with her. I got to go to this museum with Madeline. She was happy to do that. I'm going to get to go to a psychic with my friend Sean. I got to eat ice cream with my friend Dave. I got to go to not just a concert, but to see my friend Brian in concert, like playing on stage. These are just, this really, really cool. And I'm going to say this now before we get to this last video, that this was hard to do. This continues to be hard to do. And I never expected that simply creating a list of relatively easy things to pull off and committing to doing them by yourself if need be, doing them with friends, just doing them, is really hard. It's really hard to commit to yourself that you're going to do something nice and fun for yourself. You will go to work for somebody else day after day after day, and you will commit to other social obligations for other people day after day after day. And yet I've got a list of 50 somewhat easy things to do, and I'm not even a third of the way through it, because it is hard to schedule nice, fun, interesting, unique things for you. It's hard. Try to get better at it. I'm trying to get better at it. So I go to the museum with Madeline. We have a great time. And what was really fun about this one, which I did not expect, was how goofy the whole thing became, how silly. I usually have two museum modes. I have, yes, of course, museum, yes, I'm learning. And then total irreverent, I'm just going to make fun of everything here. Penis jokes, poop jokes, fucking, I don't give a shit, all of it. And pretty quickly, her and I, we just sort of dove into that side of things, and everything was just a silly joke to us. And it was just fun to record. And by the time I was done, I think this wound up being the most snappy, funny, poppy one that I've done, because it was just so many things were just making me chuckle. Whether I saw the skeleton of a sea turtle, it reminded me of Crush from Finding Nemo, or I saw the Komodo dragon. And there's these disgusting Komodo dragon videos where they're just eating animals whole. There's a dildo joke in there, a poop joke, a snuff film joke, blah blah blah. There's just everything under the sun, and I was just like having a blast. So that was really really cool. And that's it. That's it, guys. That was just 15 of those things, and I think I talked for like almost an hour. I'm gonna edit this down, and hopefully you guys enjoy my little breakdown of this. This was an experiment to see if this little studio and this little podcast format was fun to listen to. I'm gonna try to edit it down for content so it seems as interesting as possible. I'm gonna clip it up a little bit, put some of the stuff on Instagram, and we'll see. We'll see how this all turns out. Um, Thank you for following along. If you are a Patreon member, thank you for being a part of that. If you're not, go to patreon.com/RobRyanRocks to join. It helps me continue to make fun videos like this for you. And that's all I want to do. I just want to continue to, you know, take in the world, process it, put it back out into into art, into words, in a format that everybody can process and enjoy. Hopefully. I think we did it. All right. Peace.